In this video, we're going to look at the Blur, Sharpen, and Smudge tools, which are located right under the Gradient tool. And they're pretty self-explanatory, as you would imagine. The Blur tool does blurring, and the Sharpen tool does exactly that. And there can be some definite benefits to using both, especially in photograph type situations. As with many of these tools, you have the ability to control strength, how it's actually applied. One application is, let's say that we want this tomato right here to stand out from this background. I can actually use the blur tool. Let's just increase the strength to 100 for effect. I can actually use the blur tool to blur this background even more where this tomato is, and it's a subtle effect. Okay, so I'm going to apply it multiple times here just so you can ultimately see the before and after, so you don't have to worry about it going wow way out of focus really fast. It's a subtle effect that you can build up. But if I come to history now and I go before versus after, the effects are very subtle. Let me move into the area here a little closer. So if we go before, after, look at the right hand edge of the stem, you'll see the difference. There's before, notice how it's a fairly sharp edge, and then after it's a lot softer. So I can go in and continue to work on it and blur it. Like I mentioned, it's a subtle effect, so you don't have to worry about getting carried away. So again, the effect is a little bit more pronounced. And the same is true with the Sharpen tool. Works the same way. And you can use different brushes depending on how tight or broad you want to get with the effect. But if, let's just say we go with a brush, say 130, and I'm going to increase the strength. Notice that we have another option here, protect detail, which is important. Sample all layers basically means that if you're working with multiple layers of a photograph in Photoshop, perhaps you've done other work on other layers, you can choose to have it affect all the layers and draw from that detail or not. Now, one thing that I will tell you about the Sharpen tool is that while it does sharpen, it doesn't perform miracles. Okay, so like right here we have this leaf and stem area of the tomato, and if I apply the Sharpen to it, it will sharpen it, okay, but it's not going to take something that was out of focus and make it completely in focus. It also accentuates the noise, so you'll notice the before and the after, so it definitely sharpened it up. You can see the difference. I actually probably took it too far, but you get the idea. Okay, and so that's basically how it works. And where it can really come into play is whenever you need to perhaps emphasize subtle detail that seems maybe just a little bit blurry. Like right here, the edge of the stem, it's mostly in focus, but it's just a little bit out. So I can use the Sharpen tool to enhance that just a little bit further. You can also use the Sharpen tool on areas that are already sharp, just to accentuate them a little bit more. Now this is slightly out of focus, but if I apply the Sharpen tool here, it gives more of an appearance of it being sharpened. And of course, again, we can also have it apply in a number of different ways. And just to show you, let's pick color. So what it's doing is it's applying the Sharpen to the color, and if you look at the difference in that stem there, you can see where it's just enhancing the color. Alright, same thing here. If I apply it in this area, and let's just go crazy with it, you can see where it's really starting to affect the image in a negative way. But we're just affecting the color layer, as opposed to if we go back to normal and apply it, we're sharpening detail, but it's also affecting the appearance of the noise in the image and all of that. Okay. The smudge tool, again, works very similar to the blur and sharpen tool, and it does what you think it would do. It smudges the image. So you can see where if I click and apply, it just takes the image and the color that's there and it smudges it. Now in some cases you can use this in a pretty cool way to create some interesting effects that are more like move effects. Like if I went to, let's see, a larger brush like this and click and drag, notice how the stem, because it's in the center of the brush, is being maintained, but its position is being moved. There's still smudging effects there, you know, so you want to pay attention to that. Or you can go down to a much smaller brush and just really use this as kind of a paint tool, like a way of painting on top of your photographs, kind of like what we explored before with the brush tools, because this is in effect a brush tool, but you're just smudging the color that's already there. So it's definitely more of a specialty kind of use that you're likely not going to use every day, but it's kind of good to know that you have access to that.